Get ready to feel
the power.
That's Colin Crandall over there. Myself, Adam Roorda, here with another episode of MMA Power Hour. I am not the man of the hour. I just like to bring it in every week like this. Colin is the man of the hour that you're actually sitting down and having a conversation with him via the chat here, and also our guests via the chat and comments. We love all engagements here. We'll try to shoot off any questions you have for our guests. We do have two special guests tonight, and this whole episode is brought to you by none other than Lith Token. It's LITH token.io. I'm actually the blockchain architect. You see me growing the billionaire's beard just to bring on all of the good vibes and good energy. I am the blockchain architect over there, just doing blockchain things that you would have no idea about. I could bore you guys for days and days, and if you are interested, head over to Twitter, add me. It's Adam R. LitX, and Colin and I are debating on actually bringing the show over there to just doing Twitter Spaces. It seems to be the new thing. I think it's only appropriate to start doing that. Maybe we can do a combination show for a little bit, test the water, see if transitioning is good or not. I do like being on the Hannibal TV though, Colin.
Yeah, me too. Hannibal is a good guy, good group of people. I think actually he said it is the largest combat sports YouTube channel emanating from Canada, and we personally are not in Canada, but the channel and Devin Hannibal Nicholson are from Canada, and we're gonna have to think about what we do, because Hannibal Nicholson's a good dude, and it's a really good channel. We appreciate the people that are his subscribers and that follow us every week.
I'm also gonna have to say, I'm looking at my handles here, or not my handles. I'm looking at the captions slash the slider information going across the bottom of the screen here, and we have some rankings to actually change up here. Carla and Whaley, it was don't forget about that mic, Colin.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Adam Roorda. Yeah, you're right. Title fight, several things on Saturday had ratings implications for sure from UFC 281.
Yep, and I don't know. I would almost put Pereira also.
Well, he's a champion, so he's going to have a C next to. There's no more number. It's going to be a C next to Pereira's name, and a C next to Weili Zhang, or Zhang Weili.
Right. Well, according to our rankings, it's 1, 2, 3, right? So we have some updates to make. I will not make them live on the show tonight. I normally do, but I'm just going to keep things active. I have some more work to do. As you see, Colin's holding a mic instead of being laved up, is what we call, or no lapel mic. So we're having him hold the mic now, and sorry for that, Colin, but that's just the way it is. And then also the production software decided to do an update and actually forces me to do a lot more work when it comes to Skype. I'm gonna figure out, maybe see if Zoom might be the better solution now. Seem to be for other people.
That definitely could be. A lot of people are using that, and so yeah, I know whatever you choose, though, I trust it will be the best, as it always has been.
Yeah, always has been, always will be. So we are on social media. Check us out. It's at MMA Power Hour on Facebook. Probably just check out the group. We do have a page, but it's been kind of blasé for recently. We have the videos going. We're keeping it live here on the Hannibal TV, and also when I say that, that's on YouTube and Facebook. So definitely just keep checking back every week. And if you're in our group already watching right now, which I know a couple of you are, I see it, hop on over to the Hannibal TV whenever you get a chance. Just show love there. I would say share those links before any of the others. I have a dog that's yelping.
I was just going to say, which company do we give credit for this dog barking sound effects that we purchased?
It's wild, man.
Yeah, they're stronger than we thought. We kind of thought it'd be kind of a little light background, but they kind of have a little bit of a stronger.
I don't know if anybody else can hear it though. So
possibly not. We're hearing the dog barking sound effects. It reminds us of the crickets. That was the classic with my dear friend, the late great Gene LaBelle.
I love that. That was so great because it was like a fireside chat with him. Awesome. Just the way his personality. I'm like, I was so irritated that night when it was going on,
because there were real crickets we had in our little studio at
and you could hear it. But looking back on it, it was one of those things that's kind of like, you know what? It actually it made sense. If I would have just rolled with it a little more, maybe come up with like a crackling sound effect in the background with
like
a
it makes it seem like a fire, like a fireside chat, or like an outdoor, nighttime. Yeah, it was really awesome, and it's like Gene could tell a story like nobody else, and I still miss him. He was a good friend, and it's weird. I mean, I know, especially for our younger viewers that are in their 20s and 30s or even teens, you just like hardly ever anybody that dies, and it's no fun when that starts happening. And it's a crappy feeling when, like, I used to talk to Gene at least once every 2 weeks, and and it just sucks that you can't call someone up and have a nice chat and get to hear his wisdom. And we would talk fights and the current guys, and he just
a good dude at the end of the day.
A legend, a really wonderful man, a legend from a different time that we'll never see the likes of again.
You will be remembered for a long time, my man, and we'll be probably talking on you for quite a while, years to come. Your legacy lives on, and we're always thinking about you, man. So, Colin, it is season 11. Episode 19 of MMA Power Hour. We are only growing every week, not necessarily in numbers every single a live episode, but we are growing every week in numbers over time, over the week and the 2 weeks after, and our viewership is going up. So we have to thank you guys for finding a way to tune in, show you love and support. Make sure to drop comments, give us a hard time. Don't go too hard though. Yes. Colin and I tend to swear at you if you do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not funny for us. I have a blood pressure problem. I'm old enough. You see, I got some gray,
and I'm even older than that. So we don't like to get into hassles.
Colin has about 3 more gray hairs than me. So
3 dozen. I thought you were gonna say 3 more years to live. Sometimes it feels like that. We never know how long we have, though.
I am not guessing. Nah, who knows?
No,
man.
That's for sure.
So we've got Hulk Hogan tights popping in on.
Hulk Hogan tights. What's up?
That's the name. What a great name for a YouTube channel.
Perfect.
Okay, Hulk Hogan's tights. You're asking who this is. That's Colin Crandall over there. Myself, Adam Roorda. We are the hosts to MMA Power Hour. We talk mixed martial arts, and we are here every week, pretty much the same time on the Hannibal TV. Good friends with the Hannibals. So
that's right, eh?
Brother, yeah, brother.
Or as Hulk Hogan say, let me tell you this, brother. We got a whole bunch of action here coming up on the MMA Power Hour. Don't miss out.
Well, Hulk Hogan's tights was just letting us know, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, brother.
So why don't we get ready as soon as we can to call our first guest.
All right. Well, it's not showing that he's actually online right now. So
he gave an email address, but I don't think.
Well, let me see. I'm gonna check the text here and see if it's the right one. Go ahead and talk a little bit while I get this set up.
Because he sent me something directly on my phone, although it seems similar.
And you forwarded it to me. I saw it. No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. So let me do that now.
Yeah, Colin needs to forward that on to me. And while he is, give me a hard time a little bit, guys. I've been stuck in degen space and Twitter and really rocking out with all the most degenerate people on the planet. So
yep.
Give me a hard time while Colin does this.
Exactly. So, Adam, I'm going to send this to you. Speaking about degenerate, I remember that the last time I think I watched an Ellen show, which was 2006, Ellen DeGeneres said the most offensive name that she was called was Ellen Degenerate. And I thought that's pretty.
I don't know. I take pride in being called a degenerate. Yeah. I'm not here to follow status quo. I listen. I'm sporting a billionaire's beard. Everybody out there knows I'm Mr. Tech. I'm the nerd. Hey, throw me in a wrestling ring. I'm the scrappy little dude that's gonna come in there, degenerate nerd, and whoop some ass.
That is right. All right, you have.
That's all there is to it. No, this perfect channel to be saying that on. I just wanted to throw it out.
Absolutely. All right, so you have, as I just texted you that.
I'll look it up here and make sure it's right.
Yep, and it should be good. And I would guess it's possible that even if it shows someone isn't on, maybe they'll still see the thing ringing. Who knows?
It's the same one, man. It's the same one. I sent him a message, not showing he's online. Let's give him a call though. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. I think he may have
trying right now.
His email is not working. Better to call him, he says, but it shouldn't matter. I mean, it's Skype though. I'll tell him it's Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah, let him
The person you are trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Okay.
Yep, that ain't happening.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Okay,
That ain't happening.
Yeah. So that
Skype, Colin.
okay.
Skype.
Okay.
You always ask me, and there's no point in asking me.
No, I understand. Skype, call you in a second.
He's got to be on Skype though.
Okay. So hopefully, yeah. He's been busier than hell. I mean, we've done several interviews with him.
It's the same every time he comes in. It takes him a second.
But he's probably doing some big media and Russian. I mean, everyone's.
No, I love him for it because he does it, but he's like, what?
Yep. As we know though, he's not the only one. We've had several guests that just don't,
and he might want an invite. Let me see if I can shoot over an invite to him.
Send you a Skype invite.
Don't send that yet. Don't send that yet. Don't send that yet.
All right, I didn't. So this is live TV, ladies and gentlemen, and we're determined to have our guests on and talk to them, and so we're gonna make this happen. And
do you know? Does it end in a 0 or a 6?
What
phone number?
Oh yeah, I can tell you. It ends in a 6.
All right. We can do a call with him.
You want to try?
I need to get an image. Let me pull up an image.
Okay.
Get the chat and let me do that first.
Sounds cool. Okay. Anyway, guys, so how about that UFC 281? Man, oh man. How many of you feel that the fight was stopped a little too soon in the main event for the UFC middleweight title fight? I'm one that feels it was stopped a little bit early. And I've been noticing a trend of fights stopping a little bit early. I think for several years, it seems like people were mad because it was kind of a blend of fights being stopped too early and fights being stopped too late. But it seems kind of like, I don't know if this was decided by judges or athletic commissions or the UFC or whatever, but it seems like the late stoppages are getting fewer and fewer and more far between, which is good. In all honesty, you don't want to see someone getting beaten on when they're already out and can't defend themselves. But it does seem like, unfortunately, the what's replaced the fights being stopped too late is now fights being stopped somewhat consistently too early or too soon. And
I'm realizing, Colin, I won't be able to do this as a call.
Okay, but I mean, so the Skype.
He's got to do Skype.
Okay, you want it? Can you try to send him a Skype invite as you mentioned?
I'm trying to, and there's no way to do that right now.
Okay. Can we try to Skype call him?
If I do this, okay, meet now, host a meeting. Okay.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is since I'm using the standard microphone, if I call him on my phone and put him on speaker.
I'm going to send here.
See, here I was saying, in case somehow this doesn't work, I guess since I'm doing a handheld mic, I could always put him on the phone on the speaker, and we can just put a picture of him up.
No, that won't work. Let's try this. See if this works.
Let's give it a shot. I know you are able to do magic many times. Those of us who've only been watching us for a short while, or for the first time, we've been on for nearly 6 years. Nearly every single week for 6 years. We'll miss maybe 3 to 6 weeks in a year. I think there was a couple years where we literally were missing no more than maybe 2 weeks in a year, maybe 3. And then there were a couple years that we missed maybe 6 or 7 weeks out of a year, or 8. But that's it. We've always consistently done, if there are 50 weeks a year, we've always consistently done at least like 40 some shows every year for nearly 6 years. So we've been around for a while, credentialed media with the UFC, Bellator, PFL, and one championship. And we've been at some of the biggest events mostly here in the United States, actually exclusively, but still some of the biggest events held in the United States for some of the biggest promotions, including the UFC, from Press Row. Some good times, some great chats with so many people. We've pretty much talked to everyone who's anyone in the world of MMA, even if they haven't been on our show. We've had a chance to interview them either at Media Day or talk to them at post-fight press conferences or pre-fight press conferences. Some of the people that I've had a chance to speak directly with and ask questions of and chat with at events include Conor McGregor, Habib Nurmagomedov, Amanda Nunes, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Let me see who else I've had interaction with. Valentina Shevchenko, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Israel Adesanya, John Jones, Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington.
Guest upon guest
Yeah.
upon guest. So I just texted you the link, the invite link. If you can get that on over to him.
Okay. All right. So I just gotta.
Talking to that mic.
Okay, so I'm going to copy this and get it over to
Let everybody
our
know
guest.
how you've got to tell everybody what you do on the phone while you're using your phone.
Yeah, I tell you.
Yeah, man. And there's no better way to age yourself than to do that, Colin.
Of course. Well, since I'm already that old, I guess it's honest at least. Okay, so
No tech billionaire beard for you.
no, unfortunately, low tech. Just call me low tech. Okay, so. But I mean, okay, but he's got to have a Skype already since we talked to him on it many times.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is going to confuse him or. Well, no, this is a link to our conversation. I see.
Yeah, this is the link to the Skype.
There we go. Okay.
To our conversation that I invited him to.
Okay, so if he can click on that, will that generate a call to us, or at least we'll see him?
I have the call up right now, so all he's got to do is hop in.
Okay. Once you click on that,
There he
we
is.
will.
He's here. All right. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Awesome.
Excellent.
We can hear you, and I can see you. So
Excellent. Okay, and for my producer, I'm not seeing anything behind you except for a desktop, but I guess you can work on that. Javier, we're happy to have you back here, ladies and gentlemen. So grateful to have one of the very best coaches in the world of MMA on the show, the man in charge of AKA American Kickboxing Association, Mr. Javier Mendez. Thank you so much for coming back on the show, Javier.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, Colin.
You're welcome. Always great to chat with you. So much great stuff going on for AKA over in Abu Dhabi. You had Islam Makhachev challenging, or actually, challenging for the vacant UFC lightweight title against Charles Oliveira, who only had lost the title because of missing weight in a weird event where the scales may have been off. But in any case, it was a big fight. They were talking about it for a long time. Islam was about a 3-1 favorite to start, ended up being 2-1. And it's funny, Javier, I was looking at that fight in the beginning as a dead even fight, but I started hearing so many people talking up Charles Oliveira and saying that maybe if it was Charles against Habib, maybe it would be impossible for Charles. But against Islam, so many people were saying Islam wasn't proven enough to go against Charles, and it would be a victory for Dubronx, and he'd be confusing Islam, and Islam would be nullified his grappling, and he wouldn't know where he was or what he was doing. And again, the result was the exact opposite of that. Did you feel this was the toughest fight and the hardest matchup for Islam? Did you have any thought that this fight could go 5 full rounds, or Islam could be in some danger in this fight? Javier, sorry to interrupt you. We're having a hard time hearing you. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, my producer just fixed something. Continue. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. So no, we're actually not getting any, Javier. So my producer's going to try to fix something here because we're hardwired here. So it could be just some temporary glitch. I apologize for that, Javier. We'll have that fixed here. Very unusual. As you know, we normally have everything go 100% smooth. And let me ask my producer, Dr. Adam Roorda, you don't? Okay. All right. So this wouldn't be on your side, Javier. So we're going to get something fixed here. Modern technology. It's funny. I know that that for those of us Generation X guys, I think 20 years ago when we were thinking about technology in the future, I think we all thought it's going to be so amazing. There's going to be no flaws, no issues. It's going to be smooth as silk. And here we are in 2022, and technology still seems to have glitches and challenges. It's kind of frustrating. I know neither you or I are focusing on technology for a living, but I sure wish that it could be fixed. Okay, Javier, can you hear me? Okay. All right. Sorry, we're still having an audio problem. Should we try the Skype connection once again, Dr. Adam Roorda? Okay, but do you think maybe if we cut the Skype call off and try to come in again, or what do you think? Okay. Apologies again, Javier. I know your time is valuable, and I know so many people want to hear your thoughts, including me. And got a bunch of people watching, and so bear with me. And for people watching, bear with us here. Just I don't know what it is, but Dr. Adam Roorda has got everything hardwired in and is doing everything possible to fix this. And if we can't relatively soon, Javier, I'll let you get back to your evening. But I really want to talk to you, and I really appreciate your time you set out here for us. Doctor, he's hearing me, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. I could just read your lips there, Javier. So yeah, we're doing everything we can here, ladies and gentlemen, to get this going, and hopefully we'll be any second. Okay. Okay, Javier, if you could stay on the app, don't do anything. We're going to cut off the connection and then Skype call you back. So doctor, he doesn't have to do anything, right? Okay. Okay.
The person you are trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Is that because he's still on?
Please leave a message
Skype
after the tone. When you have finished.
Okay. So I tell him to hang up.
All right. Yeah, you need to have him in the Skype app itself,
Javier.
not.
All right. If you could hang up from that call, but stay in the Skype app, we'll be able to connect with you.
Trying to figure this out live for all of you. Hang tight. Hang tight. We love you all for hanging tight with us.
Yep, we definitely do. Okay, and let's see. All right, and let's see. All right. Okay, so there we go, and let's hopefully he can do that, and we'll be good. And it's one of the interesting things about media is it almost always seems like
he has a different username that he's using right now, and I use that email, but then let me
you want
check.
to try the other one?
No, let me check something.
All right.
People, let's go in here. Keep talking, Colin.
Okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, some amazing fights. The first fight of the night, almost everyone, including myself and Dr. Adam Roorda, expected was going to be a barn burner, was Nikolai Negumereanu against Carlos Ulberg, the Black Jag, and teammate of Israel Adesanya. Ulberg, man, just finessed the hell out of him and stopped him. Nega Moreno is a tough guy with a great chin, very rugged, very skilled, and he was chasing Ulberg all around, but could not land. That height and range of Ulberg just was too much, and he looks like a serious contender in an already jam-packed UFC
Well, he tried this
heavyweight
Let's see.
division.
Submission radio. Can we hear you now?
Javier, can you hear me?
you guys?
Good. You can hear me? Beautiful. Okay. And we got you there, video. All right, Javier, so if we can go back, it looks like we got cut off shortly into it. So going into that fight, what was your thoughts on how Charles Oliveira compared to Islam's other opponents and what kind of a challenge he would bring and how this fight could materialize, let's say, best case scenario and worst case scenario prior to the fight?
Well, obviously, best case scenario is exactly what happened.
Right.
Worst case scenario was potentially getting caught up the middle with a flying knee or something of that nature, which he's known to do with that long range submission. I didn't really think very much about the prospect of us getting caught in a submission. It was, like Habib and I, we knew that submission was not an area that we would be worried about. That up the middle, Charles is very dangerous. So our mission was to keep Islam on the side angles with him, and that's exactly what Islam did. And he basically capitalized on Charles's mistakes. And from all previous fights, he makes mistakes, he gets caught, he gets dropped. But the problem has been with other opponents, they won't go to the ground with him. Well,
right.
He had someone that was willing to go to the ground with him, and that's what happened. So that was a change for Charles, not used to that, getting dropped and someone's now on the ground with you, and someone who's very proficient on the ground. And so I think that might have got him for a little bit of a shock, to be honest with you. And I think that's what led to the quick finish on Charles. I think had he been more mentally prepared for Islam being as good as he actually was, it could have gone a little longer. I still don't think he would have beat Islam, but I think it could have gone a little longer.
Yeah, very well stated, and that makes complete sense. Is there a reason why he wasn't more mentally prepared? I mean, do you think he couldn't get anyone like from the Eastern Bloc to mimic Islam? I mean, I'm sure if anyone's as good as Islam, they're probably competing and they're not going to work as a training partner. But you would think with all the people out there, there are probably some Eastern Bloc guys coming from the Sambo system that could have come in and trained and be heavy on top with Charles. Do you think that maybe overconfidence or hubris stopped that, or they couldn't get anyone, or why wouldn't he have had someone to do as much as possible to mimic what he was going to experience with Islam, in your opinion?
Well, it could be overconfident. It could be didn't have the contacts. It could be that there isn't anybody like Islam. I mean, there's a lot of variables there. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it didn't happen, or maybe he did have someone. Who knows? I just think that to find someone like Islam that's as good as he is on top, it's not going to be easy. And number two, like you alluded to, if he did find someone, would they be willing to come and help him? I don't know that either. All I know is that, he came prepared and we came prepared, had our game plan and he had his, and it really comes down to game planning most of the time, and I believe we had the right game plan, and we, Islam executed the perfect game plan.
Absolutely, and congratulations! Another amazing performance from AKA yourself and your students, and Habib as a coach as well. After the first round, what were you thinking and feeling about what you saw, and what were you telling Islam?
The first round, we were all right on track. We just say stay on track, just stay on the outside, keep doing Cain Velasquez style, which is angles, and that's what he did. It was exactly what I was expecting, and right off the bat, you saw Charles try to go up the middle with the flying knee, and Islam was ready for that. He was prepared for that. So he kind of already moved a little bit to the side, and Charles didn't completely try to throw it because he knew he'd been way off. Everything was executed properly by Islam, and I don't expect anything from Islam but exactly what he does. He's always done Abdulmanap's plan, and that's what he did, and he is Habib's father's number one student, Abdulmanap. So the credit and everything of who Islam is comes from Habib's father.
Absolutely, and I saw him give him credit, or heard him give him credit afterward, and then put the belt on Habib. That was a cool moment where he gave Habib's father, Abdulmanap, that credit, and very cool. Question for you. It seemed to me that in the second round, although things didn't go that bad for Charles in round one, it seemed to me he was looking kind of tentative. And one of the things that I think a lot of people expected was that, being that Charles was not going to be overly worried or stressed, supposedly, being on the bottom under Islam, because he was not going to be worried about that, he was going to be just throwing everything but the kitchen sink. He was going to be throwing kicks, he was going to be throwing elbows, he was going to be throwing knees. And in the second round, it's like right from the beginning, he didn't do that. He looked like he was actually fighting kind of like Justin Gaethje did in the second round with Habib. I'm sure you remember well, where in the first round, Gaethje was throwing all kinds of stuff. He was looking great. Everyone was like, rinse and repeat, Gaethje. Just keep on putting it on Habib every round. Stop the takedown. You win the fight. And instead, in the second round, Gaethje was moving side to side, looking like he didn't want anything to do with engaging with Habib. And it looked kind of the same from Charles, and I think that surprised a lot of people. Can you explain why that may have been?
Just how good Islam is. I mean, what else can you say? There's no secret to how good he is anymore. Anyways, before this, a lot of people doubted he got put up there too quick, et cetera. Now he went from not deserving of a title shot from some people out there to now, pound for pound, one of the best. And in all reality, I mean, he beat Charles. Okay, now he's a champ. But to put him in the pound for pound ranking, that's just what people do. They jump on the bandwagon. I think he will be a pound for pound great, but I think they're putting him in that second category right now. I think it's, based on his talent, yes, get it. But based on his accomplishments, he hasn't been a champion, but just recently, right? So let's see how many times he defends it. Let's see what he does when he goes up to the light, the welterweight division, and if he can win that title, which I believe he will, then let's talk like we are now.
Absolutely. I like that. Always humble and respectful, but never overly pumping up your people is a good quality, Javier, and we appreciate that. But yeah, I think he definitely has a potential. So here's what I want to ask you from a submission standpoint. And I've spoken with several fighters. I've spoken with some people that are good black belts in jiu-jitsu, that train and that win in submissions. I haven't been able to get a hold of Gordon Ryan. I would love to have gotten his thoughts, but I did a good interview with him a while back. Maybe I'll get a hold of him this week. But when I saw the fight hit the ground in the second, and you saw side control, cross side for Islam, and you can see he's fishing for that arm triangle choke. Charles has to know wrestlers and sambo guys love that choke, the neck and arm choke, aka arm triangle choke, and he's fishing for that. The first thing you say to yourself, and I know it's easier said than done against a guy like Islam, but the first thing you say to yourself is bring your elbow up and your arm down, get your arm on the ground. And it looked like for a second Charles was thinking about that, and he didn't do it. And then you see that Islam was starting to lock everything in, and you say to yourself, all right, answer the phone, put your palm on your ear and bring your arm up, trying to answer the phone and block the tightness of the choke, and he didn't do that. And then you think, start to try to hip scape and get on your right hip, get off your back, get on your right hip, which will bring your right arm down, trying to escape from the choke, and he didn't do that either. And is it that was he dazed? How much was Charles dazed and seeing stars when he was on the ground, or was it just all how quick and how strong Islam is? Because three things to normally defend against the arm triangle choke were not done by Charles Oliveira?
I think a lot of it has to do with he was dazed. It's not that Islam is not that good. He is that good, but Charles is very good himself, and the fact that he got dazed 1 split second behind, and you get caught, and that's what happened here. And also, you got to remember, he gets dropped. His normal mental memory is he gets dropped, they let him get back up. Well, he got dropped. He didn't let him get up. He got pounced on him. So those are all mental thoughts that go through your brain. And the split second you're thinking about him is too late. And I think the fact that he was hurt, the fact that he was thinking about what's going on here, I think it basically was, the end for him. Could he have defended? Possibly. Who knows? We'll never know. We do know he got caught with a good shot. We do know he got dropped. We do know he got choked. We do know he didn't defend properly. But again, don't know is what exactly was going on in his mind, because he's the only one that can answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that some people criticize that I'm not criticizing personally is a lot of times high-level black belts don't tap that quickly. They're doing everything they can to move around and to go this way and that way and try to loosen the grip before tapping. And you have a high-level black belt who tapped extremely quickly. Someone told me that DC put out a video I haven't seen yet that said when Islam puts a choke on you, his squeeze is so good that it's so strong that you're not thinking anything but tapping out. Is that what caused that? You think that just the strength and the squeeze is so good because Charles tapped out extremely fast?
Well, Charles had 2 choices: pass out, tap out.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
So you can say whatever you want. He only had 2 choices: is tap or get choked out. That was his choice, how he wanted to go. He wasn't going to get out of it. That thing was locked in. No way he was going to get out. And so, and then also when you feel Islam's strength, like DC alluded to, then you'll understand that, extremely strong. And Charles felt that. So it was locked in. Like I said, he was dazed from the hook. Anybody that thinks he wasn't is really not thinking properly, because if he wasn't dazed, why'd he get dropped?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he wasn't all there, and Islam 100% took advantage of it. Now, had they went to the ground without that, could he have locked it in? Who knows? It might have been a lot more difficult to get it. I mean, riding him wouldn't have been as difficult, but Charles could have got up just like he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. It just was, extremely impressive. And then Alexander Volkanovski mentioned, was there any hint or was there an expectation in your mind that Alex was going to be the next opponent?
There was rumors circulating around that Alex, it was even on the media that he wanted to go up to lightweight. So there was rumors, and there was media, rumors. So obviously, when it came through, let's go. So we knew about it, right? Because why would Islam have said he's just a short guy,
Right.
So there was rumors of him wanting to challenge. So it was circulating, and definitely he's well deserving of that. He's cleaned out his division. He wants to go up to the lightweight division and test his mettle there. And there is. If anybody's going to jump the line, it would be him, Alex. It would be Alex, because he's deserved that shot. And the UFC is about making the most entertaining, most financial gain for their company, and that fight in particular is the biggest win for them. Versus the person that actually in the lightweight division that deserves that shot is Beneil.
Yes.
Beneil deserves that shot, but the powers that be make the decision on where they want to go, and they obviously like the fact of Alex challenging the winner, and that was kind of what I took to understand, is that the UFC was going to give him that opportunity, if it was the right situation, and apparently it was.
Absolutely. What do you think about the challenge that Volkanovski brings as opposed to the challenge that Oliveira brought? Well,
it's going to be a different challenge, because now we got a shorter guy, stronger, doesn't have as good a ground game, and it's not as diverse in striking like Charles. Charles was very explosive in so many different areas with knees, elbows, long range. Alex doesn't have that, but Alex is compact. He's got power. He's got strength, and he's got good wrestling defense. Not great, but it's good. Can he keep it off the ground, and survive the ground with them? We'll see, but he's not going to keep it off the ground. The only way that he can do that is if he can manage to, get a KO, and it's happened in the past. So people have, one person's been able to get through the armor, and it was a good shot. And anybody gets hit with the right shot, they're all going. And in this particular case, that's the only way that any of the challengers that are out there for Islam, that's the chance. They're not going to beat him any other way. And I seriously doubt he's going to get caught, because look at his, his defense and lightweight history. He's probably I haven't looked at it, but I'm assuming based on how often I've worked with him and how often he gets hit, he rarely gets hit. So he would have to have one of the highest defensive games in the lightweight division. That's my opinion. And
one of the best, Jim.
I don't think I'm wrong, but I could be.
No, I think you're right. One of the best, absolutely. People just don't seem to mount a lot of offense against Islam Makhachev. Interesting fight. What's the date on that again? February something?
11th, I believe the 11th or 12th.
And that's in Australia, right?
Perth, yeah.
Fantastic. It's going to be a great card. So after that, assuming Islam wins, it really has to be Beneil next. And if he gets by Beneil, I'm thinking off of this Dustin Poirier performance that it might be Dustin. How impressed were you with Dustin against Michael Chandler, or what were your thoughts going into that fight?
Oh, I was very impressed, and I thought it would go the way it went, because I thought Dustin could take a lot more than Michael did, and Michael does too many risky maneuvers. He entertains the crowd, and instead of thinking about winning the fight, Michael goes entertainment. So he kind of is a cross between winning and entertainment. And I think that Michael Chandler has fallen to the entertainment side on a few occasions where he wants to throw great fights. And I think that cost him. And at the end of the day, he's still, people still want to see him because he's well-spoken. He knows how to hype up a fight. But longevity-wise, in the sense of, your body strong and your mental strong, I think that's that he could fix some of his holes, and instead of going for the entertainment side, I think the win side first, entertainment second. But I think he's torn in between. I think he's torn in between entertainment and winning. And I think if he focused more on winning, I think he would be a better version of what he is now, because he's exciting as he's really one of the most exciting guys in the lightweight division. You can't deny it.
Absolutely. I mean, from the old Bellator days, I watched him against Eddie Alvarez. Those fights were amazing when he was young, and he's just such a tough guy. When the fight finished, one of the things that I look at as interesting is a lot of people that don't know jiu-jitsu or submission that much are like a little bit confused about what went on, and they didn't really see the transition from the face crank or cross face and then the rear naked choke from there. But you wonder what it might feel like if your nose is already broken and someone gets you in a face crank like that. How miserable would that be?
Oh, you would. Okay, granted, yeah, but also remember how slippery they were. So how easy they would slip in, because he's wet, and so that was a major. Also, I feel. Yeah,
so you're feeling like instead of, because what it looked like Dustin set up was he would face crank him, and then as soon as Chandler moved his face, he'd be exposing his neck, which is what he did. But your feeling was Chandler possibly could have slipped out the other way out of the face crank?
Who's to say? It's possible, yes, but I'm just saying that he was so slippery that it was easy to put in the choke.
I see your point. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. And I agree. And the bottom line is, like, people seem to hate to tap out to pain compliance holds. And if your jaw is going to get dislocated and your nose is going to get broken worse, no one wants to tap out. So you could almost see Chandler's thinking there is, I can't have my face completely broken, and I'm not going to tap out to a face crank. So I'm going to lift my head up to stop that. And as soon as he did, Dustin got that choke. Dustin is pretty slick. And it's funny because Dustin at one point was Chandler had back mount on him, and if Chandler would have submitted him with a rear naked choke, that would have been the hat trick, an old hockey term. Would have been 3 rear naked chokes by Dustin to Habib, to Charles, and to Chandler, and we know he didn't want that. So you know what I bet you is in Dustin's head? I bet you Dustin knows he's third in line, but I bet you he would love to get one back on Habib and you guys by facing Islam. And is that someone that if you guys go through Volkanovski and Beneil, that you would be willing to fight?
Look, Islam's never picked an opponent. He doesn't care. Put him whoever's deserving, whoever the UFC puts in front, he's going to fight him.
Yeah.
That's the way it's always been with Habib. That's the way it is with Islam. He's not picking his opponents. The UFC is going to pick the opponents, and that's what's going to happen. That's why, all this stuff you read in the news media, this and that. Islam doesn't pick his opponents. He doesn't say, I want to fight this guy, fight that guy. No, whoever you're going to put in there, he'll fight him. Now, the dates and where they're going to fight, that's to be determined. But as far as the opponents, he doesn't care. He's the champ. The champ should never care.
Absolutely.
Fight, Islam is the true heir. He's the champ. Put him in front, whoever. He doesn't care. He's not going to choose who he wants to fight. Hey, his thing is, I'm going to beat you guys all anyway, so let's go. You got to clear out the division. Israel Adesanya did it. A few other ones, George St. Pierre did it, and many, many others, have done it beforehand. So the thing is, those guys, they're not choosing who they fight. You tell them who they're going to fight. They're going to fight that person. They're going to beat that person because they're the champions. And, Izzy's fight, he lost this time around, but I guarantee you he's going to want a rematch. I think the fact that he's been the champion for so long has cleared out the division, that I think they're probably going to warrant another rematch, because I myself personally would love to see that fight. And so that's the way I think it go, and that's the way I know Islam is. He's not going to pick who he's going to fight. He's going to fight whoever they put in front of him.
Absolutely.
He's not.
Absolutely. Sorry to interrupt you, Javier. And yeah, definitely AK you guys never run from fights. If you had your preference, I know you mentioned welterweight, would you like to go up to welterweight in 3 more fights, 4 more fights, 2 more fights? If what do you think would be your preference and or Islam's preference as far as that?
That's the thing. It's not my preference, because my preference has no value in this. It's Islam's desired. If Islam says he wants to go to welterweight now, I support it. If Islam says I want to defend the title 5-6 times, then go to welterweight, I support it. This is an Islam decision, and my decision, like Habib's decision, is to back up Islam. So whatever Islam wants to do, we're going to be behind him. He has a whole great team with him, with Ali, the manager, to Rizvan, so many people, to Magomed, the other coach, Saif, the other Taekwondo coach, the Olympic Taekwondo coach. He's got a big, crew that's behind him. So we're all in belief of whatever he wants to do, when he wants to do it, we're behind him. So that's what I feel is going to happen. When he goes up, it's going to be on him, because if I say, in 3 fights, but Islam says, coach, I want to do it now, or I want to do it after 5 fights, then, it's his desire. It's what he wants. So I'm on board for whatever he wants to do.
Absolutely.
And if you want to do it tomorrow, then I'm on board for that too. You can't make a fighter fight. You can't make a fighter do things they don't really feel, and that's the problem I think people make, is they try to push their guy to do things that they really don't want. And I will never do that. I will never do that.
Absolutely. And I respect that a lot, because I think too many people are looking at their own ego and are not looking out for their students, they're fighters, and it looks like you really are, with the fact that it comes down to whatever Islam wants to do as far as decisions in his career, and that's great. In the last minute I have you, Javier, I think that there are a lot of people that are trying to get into coaching in MMA, and some are already there. You got people that are anywhere from 21 to who knows how old. As one of the more experienced, successful coaches in MMA, what advice could you give to someone that's kind of maybe already in it? Maybe they're 30 years old and they're kind of starting to get somewhere, and they got 1 or 2 fighters that can fight, and they've got a gym, and they're trying to see if they can create like an AKA. What advice could you give them?
They have to love what they do. That's it. They have to love what they do. If they love what they do, they'll show up on time. They'll be there for the fighters. They'll give the right advice to their fighters. And I can't give any other advice. They have to love what they do.
Great advice. Absolutely. Well, so happy to talk to you again, Javier. Really appreciate your time, man. You're always a gentleman, always respectful. Huge respect for you always, and your guys at AKA, man. So happy to see the success so well deserved by you, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a great night. Thanks. And that was Coach Javier Mendez, head coach and co-creator of the American Kickboxing Association, AKA, starting out years ago with amazing guys like John Fitch, Mike Swick, Josh Koscheck, other guys. I know I'm forgetting Josh the Punk Thompson.
So many.
Kung Lee, all the way to all the guys from Dagestan, Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez. Just one of the legendary coaches out there, still killing it.
Absolutely. Well, Colin, another great guest, and we're going straight into our next guest. We're actually 3 minutes late.
Oops. Sorry about that. Let's do it.
It's all right. See if we can. Boom, boom, boom. Skype dance. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. See if she's here and ready.
Ooh, I hope so.
It's not showing that she's online.
She said she'll be ready in 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. So there we go. Everybody that is tuning in, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you know what? Engage.
Absolutely.
Engage.
Let us
Comments.
know your thoughts.
Let us know your thoughts on our show. I know we're live, and there's some sloppiness to some of guests when we bring them on. Once they're on, though, they are always absolutely amazing. Like you saw, we just had Javier Mendez, absolute legend in the mixed martial arts space, one of the most respected names. And
in coaching. Yeah.
I mean, just respected in the space. Period. Absolutely. Coach, trainer,
knowledgeable guy. I believe he was a combat sports participant years ago, in kickboxing, I think, and just done a lot of training. And
well, now we're getting a call. She's calling us.
There we go. Let's do it. Hey, Miranda, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
All right. So happy to have you back on the show, ladies and gentlemen. I am so excited to welcome back one of our favorite UFC women's flyweight fighters. She is amazing. Miranda Fear the Maverick is back. 2-fight win streak, looking great. How are you doing, Miranda?
I'm doing good. Coming off a week of rest, basically, and today was my second day back to active training. And excited to hopefully have some fight news soon.
Absolutely. I can't wait to hear, and glad to see you killing it. And, it's interesting. You're 25 now or 24?
25.
25. This is a great age. You actually started really, really young, and I think you're just getting better. I know that for male athletes, a lot of time they say that anywhere from 28 to 31 is a prime, but it actually seems like in MMA, it's kind of similar, I think, for women. I think like you're just getting stronger and better, and you're probably still 3 years away from your prime.
Yeah, that's what I'd say around 28 to 30 is when everybody kind of makes their peak, and then it starts slowly going back down. But yeah, I don't feel like I'm in my prime. I feel like I'm improving so much between every fight that I have so much to learn that there's no way I'm in my prime yet.
Exactly. And for someone not in their prime, for you to be looking as good as you do and having the maturity and composure is really impressive. Like, we believed in you from the start. I think it was 2 years ago, or if not more, we first had you on our show. I know you're like 23 or even 22. And so it's really great to see you continuing to get better and get stronger. And did you, correct me if I'm wrong, did you make a change in gyms? I think you did, or no? Tell us.
Yeah, I'm in Denver. So I was probably out in Virginia when you guys first started talking to me, and now I'm out in Denver with Elevation associated with them, with my head coach, Elliot Marshall. And then I also, my other coach, which I would also consider a head coach for striking at least, is Justin Houghton out here with Pound for Pound Muay Thai. So I go to like 5-6 different gyms a week when I'm in full training mode, but they're my two coaches that I have in my corner with me every time.
Very, very cool. And both are respected coaches. I'm a little bit more familiar with Elliot Marshall as he was a fighter in the UFC. I remember, I've been watching this from the beginning, so I remember him fighting and in the Tough House, the Fire Marshall. And he is becoming a really recognized force in people's corners lately, isn't he?
For sure. And right now it's just myself and Drew Dober that he coaches, but you also see like big names in the jiu-jitsu world and stuff. And his whole gym, like all the gyms that he started and ran, are very successful. And he's a great coach. You can hear him in my corner. You can hear him in Drew's corner every time he coaches. Very loud, very concise, which is what I love.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, your last performance, you looked really, really good, and you did something that I think a lot of us, believe that you could do, is to really sharpen up the wrestling, to really use your strength, that farm girl, Midwest farm girl strength, and really go in there and start shooting in and start doing some really good stuff as far as controlling where the fight went. And you really did that. I would say that was about as impressive as we've seen you look with your grappling and your wrestling. Was that something you trained really hard for in this camp, and was that a goal, and how did you feel out there?
Not even this camp. We've been working on that since my loss to Aaron. I had never really been put in a difficult position wrestling-wise or grappling-wise in the past. Like I might have had a scrambler too, for instance, with Deanna Bennett, but our wrestling was pretty even, to where when Aaron came in, I just wasn't prepared for it. And so after that fight, after that loss, we really got back to the drawing board. I started working from bottom a lot in training. I started working on wrestling a ton in training. But the striking and just grappling as a whole too. It's not about that opponent standing across from me. It's about what's at the end, that championship level. So I try to train not for my opponent, but for any opponent ahead of me in the future.
Absolutely. I like that. And it makes sense. You learn something from that matchup and you saw something you hadn't seen before. And I think you'll probably be seeing Aaron again. And I think it will be a really different fight. And, and I think that if the wrestling was equal, I think you're the better striker. And even though she's got wrestling, I think you're physically the stronger woman, even though she's pretty strong. But I really kind of think that if you're not put on your back, then you could be a real problem for Aaron Blanchfield.
I agree, and I look forward to our rematch at some point. I think that we'll both be in the top of this division in a couple years. So I think it needs to wait until then when we're both top 5, top 10. But I see it being a future fight for sure.
Absolutely.
Barber also being a future fight, but we'll see how long she runs from me.
Yeah, absolutely, because I really feel you won that fight. That was one of the biggest robberies of, what was it, last year? Yeah, last year or 2020? Yeah, so, without a doubt. What did you think of Aaron against Molly McCann? I'm sure you watched that fight. I'll tell you this before you say your thoughts. Molly is an older fighter compared to you. She's 32. She's on a 3-fight win streak. Such a passionate, fired up girl. She's a Scouser from Liverpool. They apparently are really nice people and have a lot of character and passion. And you just even though you're young like Aaron, you can relate to her more. Did a part of you hurt to see Molly just get flattened out like that? Because she just wanted to win so badly. I don't know. Well, it's just, I felt a little bit bad, because if it could have stayed on his feet just a little bit, just let Molly try to big sister her with some strikes, but not meant to be. What was your thought? What do you feel about what I just asked?
You know, Molly and I have had basically a rivalry going from the start. I asked for her a while back, like I think her first spinning elbow fight. After she had finished that one, I was like, let's fight, let's go. Didn't get the next fight. She fought Hannah Goldie, who was a weight class below flyweight.
Yep.
And fights Hannah Goldie, beats Hannah Goldie, not necessarily with the elbow, but was piecing her apart on the feet, hit her with the elbow, and was able to finish her with strikes. After that one, she gets moved to number 15, and that's where I was like, what? Like, she hasn't fought ranked people. The people she has fought that are good, for instance, Jillian Robertson, have beat her fairly easily. And then they put her against Erin, and I was like, one, stylistically, that's a horrible fight for Molly. I can't believe they put her against her, because it seems like they're really trying to hype Molly up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they need to be able to promote Erin. And like, I don't see her being super promotable from like a social media and stuff like that perspective, but she wins fights and she does a good job winning fights. And so they gave her Molly, who already had a lot of clout. And I think that really helped Erin boost up the ladder. But as far as Molly goes, I don't think she should have ever been in that ring with Erin to begin with. She hasn't been against any grapplers she's faced and won. And her striking, I don't even find to be that good. She's just a good brawler, right? She doesn't have special technique. She just brawls really good, throws really hard. I'll give her that. But I wanted to fight her. And unfortunately, Erin was the one that got to humble her. I did watch the fight. I think she dominated it. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Both standing and on the ground. You saw Erin go in. She pieced her up a little bit on the feet, just enough to get that takedown set up, took her down, got in crucifix immediately, beat her up for a minute until she got that Kimura after trying for it twice. And it was very impressive on Erin's part, but Molly didn't really have any answers to her on the ground, even to defend herself.
Yeah, that's true. And that's a problem. And it seems also like a lot of the fighters, you know, out of Europe, you know, don't have a lot of wrestling, and maybe even the women even less have wrestling. And she's a 32-year-old fighter who probably was training in striking for her first 12 years in combat sports, not wrestling. And then for the last 3 years, she's trying to wrestle, and it's not, you know, a little bit too late. Wrestling is tough. I was telling a friend of mine that I'm like, let's just say I'm more than double your age. I'm a little bit of an older guy, and I still do my jiu-jitsu. I'm a purple belt, but once in a while we would train wrestling. And I was like, I could barely walk for like 2 or 3 days afterward, right? And I even said to myself, I said, I don't know about this. I just don't know if a well over 40-year-old body is going to get anything from training wrestling except for just a bunch of Charlie horses in your legs, making it impossible to do anything else. And so it is kind of a young person's game. You know, don't you think that skill set and training?
I think wrestling is the hardest martial art as far as like, when I train wrestling for an hour, I am dead tired. I can train jiu-jitsu for an hour and roll for an hour straight, but wrestling and live wrestling, it just takes it out of you because you're using literally every muscle of your body, the cardio with it, shooting, explosive. It's hard, but it's also very hard to catch up and learn from, right? I started with jiu-jitsu. I have the strength going for me, which helps. And I think I already had the basics of wrestling down. I think there was just a lot, like in the Erin fight, that was exposed to where I hadn't been training it, but I knew it. And that was a bad fight for me to begin with, to be honest. I just didn't go in there with the fight IQ that I typically would. Like, was very tall with my striking and was very coming forward. And that's not how to fight Erin. So I've learned from a lot of mistakes with that, learned to kind of slow the pace down and see what needs to be done for specific fights. But it's very hard for someone who's a striker originally to go and learn the grappling and learn the wrestling and play catch up to people who have been doing it for years. I think it's a lot easier for grapplers to learn striking just because, you know, I always say grappling is ultimate, because if you take somebody to the ground, they're dead then. If they're a good striker, they can't do anything once you get them to the ground. But if you take a grappler to the standing, they can still throw punches and still take you down. So it's just, I see it as being the dominant force in MMA.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my producer wrestled all through junior high school and some of high school in Iowa, which is the mecca of wrestling, right? And so he knows, and I know he's nodding his head back there, and you know, it's really true. It's a great skill set, and I think you're still young enough, and your body is young enough to continue, even like you say, it's exhausting, but you can do it. It's not like you can't walk the next day like me when I train wrestling. So I think you're going to be okay, and I think that yeah, you're just getting better. So let me ask you, just not to try to take the focus off you, we'll get back really quick, but after this win, what are they going to do with Erin Blanchfield? I mean, like you said, it would be unfortunate for one of you two to derail each other like here in 2022. That should be more like the end of next year or 2024. And I'd say if they feel that, then literally, are they feeling like next for Erin is going to be like Alexa Grasso or Tyla Santos or Valentina? Because I don't know if, as young as she is, if those are good matchups for her. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it has anything to do with age. You know, I hate it when the age gets brought into it.
I hear you.
But
Yeah.
I think that she does need a little bit like higher levels to fight before she fights like Valentina or something like that. Like, she talks big, but I think Talia Santos, I think Jennifer Maia, I think even Tracy Cortez would be good matchups for Erin. I know that Erin's fought Cortez in the past.
Right.
And actually, I think he's the only person that Tracy has lost against. I could be wrong with that.
I think you're right, and I think it was a split. I think it was a split decision on top of it.
It was a very close fight, and it's been a few years since they fought, and I think it might be different this go around. Cortez has really gotten good. It might be Ortega now. I think her last name has changed at this point.
Right, when she's with Brian Ortega. Yep.
But Tracy has really improved herself as well, so I think that would be a great matchup to make. I think Jennifer Maia, like basically people that have that background in wrestling and grappling, to kind of face Erin versus like these strikers. Obviously, I wasn't a striker put against her, but like Molly is a striker, and a few of the others going up the division are strikers as well. And I think she'll just take them out with ease. But then there's like 5 or 6 girls in this top 15 that may be able to give her a run for her money. But people need to make sure they slow her down and give her a good chance. I like Erin. I hope that she gets it to the top. But if she goes too fast, then you get up there and it's just downhill from there, where if you just climb your way up, you'll be at your peak once you get there, which is the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
Into
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I understand, even though I know we both agreed about, you know, not being in your prime until you're at the late 28. I do understand, as a young fighter who's 25, you don't always want people to make it seem like you guys can't fight with a 28-year-old now, because that's not true just based on your age. And so I wasn't trying to say that. And I know when you're young, you just want some respect, because you are working really hard, right? So I get that. I just do think, though, that like you said, I think that to go against these girls who are right in their prime, who are so experienced, I thought Tyla Santos was unlucky to lose against Valentina. That fight was like super, super close. And I think if she didn't get her eye closed in that last round and had been able to be aggressive, right? Because that was a split decision.
Yeah, I thought it was a very close fight. It's one of those that I wouldn't call a robbery or anything, but I could have seen it going both ways. Very good fight, though. Exposed Valentina, and I see them getting a rematch. Like, if anybody deserves it, I don't see why Talia doesn't right now.
Agreed 100%. The funny thing is that, like, I'm not trying to throw any shade on Valentina, but I'm not hearing her begging for Tyla Santos again, right? And in a way, it kind of makes sense. But here's the thing: Valentina, I think, is 5 years older than Tyla. And if Valentina just wants to wait, all that's helping is Tyla. Tyla's the one that's just starting her prime, and Valentina pretty much is at the tail end of her prime. So, you know, I think, Tyla, you know, so that, I guess that's what I'm thinking, that if Erin's corner gets their head too big, they're liable to get her smashed, you know?
Yeah,
and,
possibly.
You know what I mean? And I think Tyla Santos looks like a monster to me, especially on the ground. She made Valentina look silly, you know, which was pretty surprising, wasn't it?
It was. It really was. But Yeah, I think that would be a good match for Aaron. And to be fair, I don't think Valentina's ever really called out anybody. So
That's true. You're right. You're right. In all respect, I've spoken with Valentina before, and she's all respectful and nice. And yeah, but yeah, Tyler just looks like a big girl for the weight class too. She just, when they made that fight, and I've been following fights from the beginning and trained myself, as I mentioned, and I just had a good feeling. Like Santos she just seems so confident, and she just looked really big. She's like 28, right starting her prime.
And I think the biggest thing that when I saw Talia the first time fight that I thought was like, wow, was when she fought Jillian Robertson, was able to dominate on the ground then too.
Yes.
Opened everybody's eyes of, okay, we got another grappler in the division. And now Aaron as well, right? So I would call Aaron and Talia the top of the grapplers in the division. Valentina's not so bad herself, right? But we'll kind of see where the chips land within that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Alexa Grasso is kind of unique, being this kind of striker jiu-jitsu girl who's getting some wrestling and getting her wrestling takedown. So it's becoming a really exciting division, and I think it's good, because I think you don't want boring fights, and you don't want to fight girls that don't have skills, do you?
I think over the last 2 years, probably, like since I joined the UFC, it's really cleaned out the flyweight division. I remember when I started, I was like, let's get some of these older girls out of here. Like, let's make some good matchups instead of facing young girl against young girl. And it's eventually happened, but it's because half of them have retired and half of them just started losing.
Absolutely. So. Very well stated. Sorry to interrupt you if I did.
Good.
So Carla Esparza, Weili Zhang, interesting matchup there. I think a lot of people knew that if the fight didn't go to the ground, Carla would be in trouble, but I don't think a lot of people thought even on the ground Carla would be in trouble. Let me ask you this, because I've asked other people this, and it's so hard to know unless maybe you are a professional fighter and you're a female professional fighter like they are. So here's Weili Zhang, very strong woman. I mean, she looks jacked in there. In fact, she made Carla look like an almost average fit girl compared to how jacked she was. But she's training with Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo's a Olympic gold medalist. He's not even that much bigger than her, so he was probably able to give her some reps in there as well. And so it's such an ideal situation. But you say to yourself, was she gonna, from 2 years training with Henry Cejudo, be able to compete with a girl who was just really a good wrestler for a decade? And it looks like she did. Was that, how much of that was Henry Cejudo's training? How much of that was just her strength and size? What do you think went wrong for Carla on the ground in that fight?
I think Zhang already had pretty good wrestling, to be honest. I don't think she just turned into a good wrestler overnight.
Gotcha.
I'm sure the people she trains with helps. Like I myself know, it's all about the team. It's all about your teammates, your coaches, all the above. That helps a lot. But she just did a really good job of reading Carla. I will say, Carla is way slower than Zhang, I think. And I think she was basically telling. As soon as she'd shoot, you could see it coming, at least from watching it. And I'm sure Weili saw that and saw it coming and was just able to initiate that scramble, get on top, and finish Carla.
Yeah, absolutely impressive. Main event, was it stopped a little bit too early in your opinion? I'm going to admit, I feel a little bit, maybe. I wasn't screaming, but didn't it seem like Izzy was kind of moving a little bit?
I mean, he was moving a little bit. I think it would have been unnecessary damage. If we would have seen him fall on the floor, then everybody would have been screaming that it got stopped too late, right? So that's where it's up to the ref. I've never really gotten mad at any of my, any that I've seen from teammates or anything like that. But obviously there's some that have gone wrong in the past, but that one was iffy. I can see how the argument could be made to keep letting him fight. It's a title. There's a big deal. But at the same time, you could see his eyes roll back twice, 3 times, and he just kept getting caught. And maybe he was moving, but there was no actual offense coming from him. He was just trying to cover up and basically survive. But I can see how it could have went, 5-10 seconds longer with that action happening.
Yeah, and he was winning 3 rounds to 1. It almost seemed like if he would have been just doing the normal Izzy moving and just running maybe, but I think a lot of times when he's taller and longer than his opponents, he's more comfortable. This guy may not have had the exact same reach, but it was pretty close. The guy was really tall, and it just seemed like he was able to put his back against the fence. Izzy really tried some wrestling. What do you think of the thought that if Izzy practiced his judo and wrestling for the next 5-6 months and comes back with even more chops, that could possibly be a good strategy to fight this guy again?
I'm not sure. I think he could have switched it up and done any of that, but why wouldn't he just do the same thing he was doing since he was winning more rounds than Pereira? Like, I see him going in and trying to do the same fight with more foot movement.
Yeah, because it does seem like he had the more polished striking, doesn't it?
I think as far as sharp crispness, yes, but I think Pereira had more power, and then that intimidation factor, and was kind of pressing forward a little bit more than Izzy does.
And not only that, Pereira looked like he's like a master weight cutter. He looks like he's like 40 pounds. Like he looked 20 pounds heavier than Izzy in there.
Yeah.
And it's weird because these guys from Brazil didn't grow up in the American wrestling culture, and usually go ahead.
Nothing MMA cutting weight. Like people who say, "Oh, I wrestled, weight cutting will be no problem." I always laugh at that because I myself have done wrestling cutting, and it's just not even the same.
I gotcha. But yeah, he literally seemed like 20 pounds heavier than Izzy, and I guess just yeah.
I don't think Izzy is necessarily heavy for his weight class at all, and Pereira's probably at the top of the food chain as far as going into the cage heavier than the others.
It seems that way. It really seems that way. He looks huge, which means really he could possibly be going up one weight class. The funny thing is, who's one weight class above him is RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez, who I love. That guy's like a zombie. I don't know if you remember that fight with Chidi and Jaquani a few weeks ago. Oh, you got to YouTube that. And Jaquani, I think, was 3-0 in the UFC, knocking the crap out of everyone. And he came in there like looking to kill. He was looking like he was staring daggers through RoboCop. And it was a brutal fight. He caught him with a knee, which cut open a really bad cut on RoboCop's head. And RoboCop didn't even stagger. He just backed up like 2 or 3 steps and re-engaged. And that's after being a jumping knee right to the forehead. Literally, the guy is insane. And so that would be interesting because that's 2 Brazilians. And I think even in this day and age, Brazilians seem to hate to fight each other because they feel we're a small country. We're not the majority of fighters like we were 20 years ago. Why fight each other? If you notice, it doesn't seem to happen a lot.
Yeah, they definitely care about nationality a lot more. They also have a lot of supporters behind them in Brazil where I feel like Americans, like they're the least supportive country out of any of them, to be honest. Like nobody really cares about nationality. You don't see like American fighters going back to their hometown very often, getting like, "Whoa, you won!" Like nobody even knows fighters in the U.S.
Right. It's too bad, which is too bad because it's a great country we have here, and I know a lot of fighters who have a lot of fans in their home states. But anyway, well, the last minute we'll keep you, Miranda. I know you don't have any fight news yet. Are you ready to go in the next month or so, or when do you think we might see you back?
I'm actually talking to the matchmaker now. We've put out a few names. Molly's already been decided to be a no, so that's big, unfortunate news, but kind of already knew that was going to happen. UFC wants to protect her, probably give her a name that she can probably win, a striker that she can go in there and strike with. We'll see what happens with that. But Molly will not be my next opponent, it looks like, but I've asked for several others. We'll see what happens next. A lot of the flyweights are booked right now with fights. Understood.
Well, let us know where people can support you if you have any merch or if you have any business you're getting into. I know you got married recently, I believe, right? And if I'm right, congratulations on that. And tell us where people can support you and find you and anything that can help support your cause.
Yeah, you guys can go to fearthemaverick.net and go get all kinds of merchandise, graph pictures, sell boxing gloves even that I've designed myself, MMA gloves, shirts, all kinds of things. And then you can also go to patreon.com/fearthemaverick. I have technique videos, exclusive content, all kinds of things on there to go check out. No, there's nothing naughty on there, but they are good pictures and stuff like that. And technique videos where I do at seminars and things like that. So if you want to check that out, feel free.
Last quick question. What year does your sister get to the UFC?
I'm going to give it 2025.
Nice. That's awesome. And if people want to support her, where do they find her?
You can go, I believe it's just Skylar Maverick MMA on Instagram. You can look up Havoc Maverick too. That's her nickname. She's going to be taking a small break just because she's moving out here to Colorado to train with me next month or two. And then beginning of the year, I'm going to be working really hard on kind of getting her a full camp leading into a fight. She's been taking a lot of amateur fights. So that's the new goal.
Awesome. Well, it's great. Her big sister will be there helping make sure no one else big sisters her.
That's right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miranda Maverick. You're awesome. Really appreciate your time. Great chatting with you as always.
Of course. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have
Bye.
a great night. Bye-bye. And that was Miranda Fear the Maverick, UFC top 20, I think even close to top 15 ranked women's flyweight, and just 25 years old. She got the wrestling. She made that improvement. I think she'll be seeing Erin Blanchfield somewhere in the future. I think she'll beat her, and I think her career is just, the sky's the limit for Miranda.
100%. Big fan, Miranda, and best of luck with that next fight, whoever you've got here. I know you're shooting for the stars, it looks like, and
Absolutely.
You deserve it.
Yes.
All right, so Colin, it's been another great episode. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here. We have somebody that hopped in and was talking about Hulk Hogan's tights, aka underpants, bound to have skids. Brother, I have to agree with you.
Well, let me tell you this, brother. How you dare say the Hulkster has any skids in his underwear, brother?
I always used to think that, just watching Hulk Hogan run around and the way he would, it was just like, no, totally, he's got skids in there the whole time.
Ain't no skid marks to the Hulkster, brother.
100%.
Go away, eat your Wheaties.
100%. Everybody, good old time here. Make sure to drop us more comments, love, shares. Help us get the word out. We do this every Tuesday. We are thinking about adding Twitter Spaces to this to bring a fan side to this, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it, but we will do it. I would love to have you guys in here engaging with us and actually having conversation, being able to ask questions directly. That would be really cool. Twitter Spaces is good for that. So if I can tie it all in together and make this happen, we're going to do it. Yeah. We're totally going to do it. I just have to play around with my setup and see how we can do this. And one thing with that, though, we may switch away from actual images of us to avatars, some funny cartoon characters, but we'll have fun with it. Hopefully you guys will as well. And Colin, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you so much.
I'm calling it a night. It was a great show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all you do, Dr. Adam Roorda. Reminded me of our thought when we thought if someone could turn into a wombat, and their character with a beret and a cigar and other stuff. Oh, man. One day. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you joining us here. In order of appearance, thank you so much. Sure to be a member of the UFC Hall of Fame in the future, one of the best coaches in the world of mixed martial arts today, Mr. Javier Mendez of American Kickboxing Association, aka thank you so much, brother. And then the second guest, also huge respect, 25-year-old, not even in her prime yet, she's kicking ass in the UFC, Miranda Fear the Maverick. Miranda Maverick, thank you so much for coming on and joining us, sister. Really appreciate you. And go out there and spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy, be that girl. It'll come back to you 100 times over. Take good care of your pets. That's the true unconditional love, and that'll come back to you 1,000,000 times over. Last but not least, be kind and gentle yourself. It's really hard times. Not a lot of us are getting a lot of positive feedback. Not a lot of us have things easy, and not a lot of us are feeling necessarily a lot of love and peace. And don't give up. Realize that you matter and you have a contribution. And it could be a lot greater than you think, and better times could be just around the corner. So please hang in there. You mean a lot to people, and you might not even know it. All right, so big love to everyone, for the entire team at the MMA Power Hour, Dr. Adam Roorda, everyone else. This is Colin Crandall, and for tonight, I am tapping out.